it might be a bit of a cliche, but watching your film, you get a sense that these are children who grow up very fast.
I think this was what drove me so much into this project, realizing a kid like Abude, who is in a very politicized environment, being a poster boy, starting to...
He's only 12 years old.
He's 12 years old. He looks much older, but in a very young kid body. But he's taking part, active part in a movement which is trying to change his country, but it's not a normal childhood.
It really isn't. And when you see the three little girls, you know, one of them, Sarah, just 5 years old, and almost being mothered by the older one, who's 13. It's an astonishing portrait. That family, they live in a very dangerous place.
Yes, they live at the front line. They live 150 meters away from the enemy. There are no children. These are the only children, the children of the fighters. And it was a hard decision of the father, but he explained me that there is no other chance. Once you decide to be there, to stay and not to flee to a refugee camp, you have to try to cope with the situation. And he decided to sacrifice his kids in order to gain the better future for his country, what he says.
He really does say that in the film, Abu Ali, the father, because he says to you at one point, I am the reason that my children's future is being destroyed. It's a very poignant moment. And, you know, for any father, for any parent watching this, it is the most crushing responsibility that he's taken on. It's astonishing. Does he feel comfortable with it?
I think sometimes you just don't have a choice. I mean, I grew up in Germany 60 years ago. I think a lot of German families had the same situation. Europe 60 years ago, been a lot of families where there was no chance to leave the front lines. So we're just not used to this situation anymore. They had to learn to deal with the situation, and they believe a lot. They are strong believers, although they are not radical Islamists. They still think that God's gonna protect them. And I think this is the only kind of hope they have, and which kind of keep them going.
But there is another hope, though, and that is the hope that Syria will change. You know, I was struck by the fact that they still refer to it as the revolution, as though it's not just an endless, hopeless civil war, but there's something worth fighting for. They talk about the end of Assad. Do they really believe that this could still happen?
I filmed it mid last year, the end of last year, where things started to become more and more complicated within the rebel-hold area of Syria, where radical Islamists been taking big part of the country, and would jeopardize their political view of those moderate Syrians. So I think it is still a fight on trying to hold on the first moment of the revolution. It's became much harder. It's just taking too long, but I don't think if they would lose this hope, there would not be a reason which, to drag on. I mean, to sacrifice your kids. So it's a very helpless situation for a lot of Syrians who've been waiting for help, who've been going through 2.5 years of traumatic experiences, who lost their country. And I think this is, they just don't want to let it down. They just keep on hoping and fighting for it.
And getting back to the children, you know, at the end of last year, some statistics were published which indicated that of the 100,000 or so people killed so far in the conflict in Syria, more than 1 in 10 of those killed were children. And most of those children, or the area in which more children had been killed than any other, was Aleppo, which is where you filmed. When you look at the children in your film, they're disconcertingly normal. They're so sweet. Little Sarah, you know, who's only 5. She talks like a child. She sounds like a child. She wants to play like a child. She wants a teddy bear. She wants to play with a ball. And yet you sense that going through what they're going through, it must be very, very damaging. Do you see these children as being irrevocably traumatized by what they're going through?
I think, first of all, they are children and they behave like children, and they look in empty flats. How they can, this is their playground. I mean, they don't have normal playgrounds anymore, so they kind of find alternatives, and they're happy. They're smiling. They're childs, but you can see in their eyes that there is for sure a big portion of trauma in, and I think it's about time in the future to see how they will be able to cope with all this experience they're going through. It's a year living at the front line, waking up in the morning and realizing that the guy who's been there every day is not there anymore, and these are experiences which children are certainly. And there, of course, it depends. Sarah is 5, Helen is 13. I think a 13-year-old girl is much more aware about what's going on. And I think
yeah, even little Sarah, you know, talks very matter-of-factly about a very violent death which she'd witnessed, yeah. And then she can recognise an incoming round as a tank shell or possibly a rocket, and then said, well, it hasn't exploded yet. I mean, this is astonishing from a child that age.
Yeah, this is the environment they live. I mean, they catch up everything. It's like a normal child would catch up the different names of a bird. It's a learning process, a development age, where children learn what's going on around them, and this is their environment. There is their daily life. So they will catch up the different sounds of a sniper or a rocket attack.
You told me earlier that you were last in touch with them indirectly about a week or so ago. What's the latest?
They're very happy because the father was missing for a long time, and we've been very afraid that he got kidnapped by ISIS, by the
Islamist group.
By the Islamists, and he got recently released. A lot of people got killed by ISIS in the last couple of weeks when they had to retreat from Aleppo. So Abu Ali is in good hands. He's back with the family, and I hope the family is safe in the last 5. It's a developing situation, you never know, but the last news we have from a week ago, they're fine.
All alive and well.
All alive and well, yeah.
Well, congratulations on making such a phenomenal film. It was very touching, and thank you very much.
Thank you.